here on the street, people hurry by one another, as they do in streets everywhere, without speaking, without looking at one another, strangers. But in that building, there's a group of young people dedicated to the proposition that all men and women are created with a need for fellowship. They feel in this world of growing alienation that new ways must be found to dissolve the barriers that separate us one from the other. They call themselves the Free Street Theater, and they believe we can regenerate the communal spirit we seem to have lost, that we can regain it through a certain kind of theater, not only for those who can afford it, but a truly free theater for everyone. Theater that goes places where the performing arts have never been. Theater that transcends boundaries, transcends differences of age, background, color. Theater that restores our sense of total community and brings us all together, neighbors, to celebrate. That's the kind of theater these young performing artists try to achieve. And last April, they started getting ready to take their gift of celebration to the streets. Henry is the founder and artistic director of the Free Street Theater. He's been its guiding force since its beginnings in 1969, when it was jointly sponsored by the Goodman School of Drama and the Illinois Arts Council. Today, the group's on its own, reaching far beyond its original local operation.
Now, there's another verb, actually. Yeah.
What can we do about the book?
Sunday, I want you to also read this stuff that we've got to do in here. You know, over here.
When the company is formed, and we've got some new company members, and we have roughly 3.5 weeks to get those people working together and at the same time to create material. I find out about them, they find out about me, they find out about one another, and we find out where our common interests and concerns are, and we begin to develop a piece.
You establish yourself in a completely different location.
We're shoulder to shoulder and bolder, so that you get...
A lot of people, when they address the fact of street theater, they think, well, you're for the inner city. I don't believe in that particular concept. Certainly there's a need in the inner city, but there's a need everywhere. There's a need for that sense of community. So we play every community. We play upper middle class communities. We play in the hearts of cities. We play rural communities. No town is really too small.
Our whole thing is out in the streets, out in the open, where the milkman can stop by and see the show, and then the maid on the way to shop can stop by and see it, and the babysitter has babies in the park, and they come up and see it. You say, well, the theater's kind of constricted because there's a price, of course, and everyone can't afford that price, you see. Whereas when we're out in the streets, everyone can afford the price of a seat for the Free Street Theater.
Sign up, join in, turn this, get in the swing.
When you start to talk to somebody about street theater, a lot of people associate it with what has been called guerrilla theater, and a theater of confrontation. I've never been interested in confronting an audience, slapping them in the face, and then walking off and saying, you're left to deal with that. Instead, it seems to me that the dialogue has to be mutual. We think of ourselves as guests in a community.
The whole concept that Patrick has of arts to the people, it's really theater stripped. This is taking theater to people that would never go to theater.
We get our support from state and federal funds, also from corporations and foundations, a local chamber of commerce, shopping center, or a local company. What we need are concerned groups or private corporations who agree with us that there's a need for this kind of theater.
For the Free Street Theater, the caravan becomes a way of life. They'll travel 7,000 to 8,000 miles, hitting 100 locations in 6 states, giving 150 performances in order to reach the almost 200,000 people they'll play to in a single summer.
There we are.
Oh,
It's drizzling. It's not really raining. Watch it.
Raining all over me.
Watch it. Watch that in.
It's up.
Put that on the side. Here comes the mop bucket.
The show starts the minute we open the trucks, the minute we let our feet inside of the showmobile, and we start setting up the stage and putting out the chairs and whatnot. Various members of the neighborhood, adults as well as children, they help with the work, and all this sort of builds up the warm-up. You see, it's like the overture. Our overture is more, let's say, work and labor until time for the show.
If you're in Free Street Theater, you're there because you have a talent and you want to share it. You know, you're not just an actor or a singer. It's a million times different than being in a regular theater because you do much more. You go out in the audience and you be you. You try anyway, and if you're not, they'll know it. And they'll say, phony, you know, don't shake my hand and not look into my eyes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon, Argenta Centennial presents for you the Free Street Theater.
Lots of times people come up to me and say, "You're just going to be here for one day?" And I says, "Yeah." And they say, "We need you every day here in this community." And I said, "That's why we're here. If you want us every day here, what you should do is start it yourself." And then they stop and they, "Oh yeah." And they start to get that idea in their head that they can do the same thing, you know.
There is now a Belgrade street theater that was generated out of the fact that we played there. A guy wrote to us, his name was Ivan Dindic. He said, "We want to know all about how you got started because we need to do this sort of thing here." So we sent lots of materials, and there's a Belgrade Free Street Theater. There's one in Oregon that we helped start. There's another one in Detroit. Some places we've been to 13 times. We keep trying to bring different experiences as well. We may bring a puppet experience or a multimedia experience or a residency program where we'll move into the community and we'll live there for a month.
Is this the stick again?
Yeah, it's my stomach. Where's the kiss lady?
Oh, now look what's happening.
Do you want to see the kiss lady? Kiss me, kiss me.
These cylindrical props are apartment buildings, and there are 3 tenants. There's Mr. Choppers, and Mr. Curly Top, and Sabrina. And Jackie, one of the dancers, a member of the troupe, goes to each individual tenant on her monthly rounds for rent. And she runs into problems that every apartment kid knows about. The toilet won't work. My rent is not ready. I can't pay it. I sent you a check. Well, your check's always bounced. You know, you got to give me cash. So finally, one of the tenants gives her a $10,000 bill. And she takes all 3 rent checks out of it. And then the tenant asks her, "Can you give me change?"